Adrienette Nation, we won. Second episode of Miraculous Season 5 has given us our proof that the love square has officially reversed, or as I like to refer it as, dissolved. The wall between Adrien and Marinette no longer exists. We won. Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. It's the one and only your girl, the cartoon hotspot, and I'm back with another analysis video where this time we'll be breaking down the episode Multiplication. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and hopefully you'll be sticking around by giving this video a thumbs up and turning on that bell button for post notifications. Without further ado, let's begin. So the episode begins exactly where Evolution left off, and for a little reminder in case you forgot, Risk, Strike Back, Evolution, and the first 10-ish minutes of Multiplication all take place in the same day. So Ladybug and Cat Noir are talking after retrieving the rabbit Miraculous, and Ladybug explains that this all happened because she accidentally gave the dog Miraculous to who she thought was Adrien, only it wasn't Adrien as we know, it was Felix. The investigation is cut short when Suhan appears yelling as usual and questioning why Ladybug failed her task in protecting the Miraculous within the miracle box. Cat Noir stands up for her and Ladybug tells Suhan that instead of blaming them, he should have been helping them because, you know, it's his job. Did he forget that? Suddenly, Suhan breaks down crying and admits he failed them as a mentor because he was too busy playing games on his phone and geeking over his expensive shoes. Are you serious? He can't be serious. You're telling me this dude, who might I remind you is the Celestial Guardian, was busy yelling at Ladybug and Cat Noir about them going rogue and yet was absent throughout majority of last season because he got distracted? He is such a loser. And I know it's meant for comedic relief, but I feel like adults need to learn to stop yelling at kids and to stop holding them to such a high standard when they don't even hold themselves accountable. It's just hypocritical, and I'm glad Lady Noir stood their ground and defended themselves. Anyways, they continue their investigation and pull up Felix's wiki page, and here we find out his surname is Fathom. It's revealed that he is the son of a millionaire named Colt Fathom, who died over a year ago. Ladybug concludes that because Felix tricked Ladybug, which led to Hawkmoth gaining all of the magical jewels, they must be connected in one way or another. They decide to fly all the way to London as Cosmobug and Astrocat, and when they arrive questioning Amelie Graham de Vanilli of Felix's whereabouts, she responds by saying she hasn't seen him in a few hours, though she admits she isn't worried because apparently to her, Felix is still close with Adrien, and so probably hopped on a train to hang out with him. Little does she know. Or is she lying to cover up for him? To be honest, I don't trust Amelie. I never have.
I don't trust her. I don't think she's a good person.
When it appears the investigation is going nowhere, Ladybug and Cat Noir call it a day and head home. And here I actually started to tear up because Marinette misses the Kwamis so much. It took a bit of time establishing discipline and rules, but when they eventually did, Marinette grew to love the Kwamis and it was never a dull day with them around. And now it's just her and Tiki, whilst the other Kwamis are most definitely scared to death. I mean, just look at the way Gabriel towers over them and threatens to make them his slaves. Anyways, feeling lonely, Marinette calls Alia and invites her over for a sleepover. Then we cut to Adrien arriving home and reflecting on the day. He remembers the conversation he had with Felix and begins to feel guilty that he wasn't able to stand up for himself. And I'm honestly glad that we actually saw him feel guilty, for writers' purposes of course. I think it's definitely in character for him, seeing as Kagami, Marinette and Felix all gave him the same advice, but unfortunately it was a little too late because if Felix and Adrien had never swapped places, Ladybug wouldn't have been tricked by Felix. And no, I am not blaming Adrien at all. That's all on Felix. Adrien then pictures Marinette and remembers what she said. He decides to be brave, storm into his father's office and tell him he doesn't want to model anymore. To his surprise, Gabriel agrees. Well, to be fair, he was barely giving Adrien an ounce of attention, but on the bright side, at least Adrien is free from his modeling commitment. Yay! No, we're going to get onto that later on. So then we jump to Marinette's room where she's venting to Alia about how her feelings for Adrien led to Monarch winning. And this is where I really need a lot of people, regardless of how you feel about Marinette, love her, hate her, I don't care. It was not her fault, and thankfully Alia reassures her. Marinette blames herself and states that she doesn't truly know Adrien, because if she did, she never would have mistaken Felix for him. And I'm like, girl, they're identical. A lot of people expect way too much from Marinette. So let's analyze why Marinette is being extra hard on herself. Risk was the first time she had ever taken major risks when it comes to Adrien. She said, I understand you, and because of his reaction, she tried doing everything in her power to get him to stay. Her friends doubted her and said she's only doing it because Lila is going away with Adrien, when that was not true whatsoever. Keep in mind that this all happened under the influence of the Akuma risk. She spent the whole day looking for ways to prevent him from leaving. And in Strike Back, when she found out that she'd been taking too many risks, she even questioned herself on whether to give Adrien the dog Miraculous. She asked herself whether her feelings for him contributing to her decision was just another risk. She took that risk anyways, and it's just unfortunate that Adrien was at the wrong place at the wrong time and Felix happened to be there. Anyone wouldn't have been able to avoid that. But Marinette is extra hard on herself because usually she's able to spot when something is off. That's how high alert she is. She's Ladybug, and if Ladybug failed, then she believes whatever caused her to fail should absolutely be gotten rid of. Even if that means robbing herself of getting closer to Adrien, something she's wanted for a while now. We've had this discussion before. Ladybug thinks with her brain, Marinette thinks with her heart. She almost never mixes emotions with superhero play, but Risk/Strike Back led her to believing she let her emotions get the best of her. Luckily, Alia is there to remind her that she has made good progress with Adrien, and that every time Marinette says she's trying to move on, Adrien's like, nuh-uh, not on my watch, girl. And perfect timing, as Adrien calls Marinette to tell her the good news. Alia picks up the phone though, as Marinette avoids him. But once Marinette hears that Gabriel relieved Adrien of his modeling duties, she immediately snatches her phone back and gives him the most heartwarming smile. They really are each other's biggest supporters. Adrien tells her that since going to school, there are a lot of things that are new to him, but one thing's for sure is that his life would be different without Marinette in it, because she's always been by his side giving him amazing advice. He then tells her that she's special and that he just wanted her to know how important she is to him. When she hangs up the phone, Adrien sighs to himself and repeats once again that Marinette is special. Look, this boy has heart eyes for her. He is whipped. He is down bad for Marinette. And Plag is the voice of the fandom in this scene, as he tells Adrien that if you keep calling her a friend and yet the warm, loving smile on your face says otherwise, then you're basically lying to yourself. And get this, in every previous scene from throughout this series that Plag has told Adrien he has feelings for Marinette, he always denied it. But here, he didn't even deny it. He just smiled thinking about her and fell asleep. Say it with me, guys. You don't want to say it. Say it with me. Adrienette Nation, we won. I have a feeling the wall between them is coming down and the love square is dissolving. I like to say dissolving instead of reversing because that would mean their feelings have completely flipped. And we don't want that. We don't want to be back in square one. No, 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 no. Anyways, Natalie then arrives home and is about to tell Adrien she's leaving, but decides against doing so when she sees how peaceful he's sleeping. I'm not sure if Natalie will decide to stay for him, but if she does, I can see why, because leaving Adrien alone with Gabriel is a big no. No, no, no. Natalie is the only one who cares for Adrien and stands up for him to Gabriel, so she has to stay. At school, Mr. Coupdale is informing the class that Alex will no longer be in class because Ladybug and Cat Noir have chosen her to wield the Bunny Miraculous, and until Monarch is defeated, Alex will stay away for some time. And to be honest, I don't understand why he was able to reveal to the class that Alex is a hero. What's worse is that he says Ladybug and Cat Noir gave him permission to make it public knowledge. I'm just really confused because isn't that dangerous? And hello, Lila is literally in that class. And are we just going to pretend that the show isn't heavily hinting that Lila may be the next villain? Yikes. On a brighter note, Miss Bustier is finally showing, and it's confirmed that it's been about like 4 months. So season 4 lasts for about 4 or 5 months in their timeline. Anyways, the class conclude that they don't need to be superheroes to combat Monarch. They all have their part to play in keeping their emotions in check, so Monarch wouldn't possess them. And what's interesting is when Chloe asks why don't Ladybug and Cat Noir just give them what he wants? And Lila is the one to actually defend Ladybug by saying she's just a kid. and she was bound to make a mistake because that amount of responsibility shouldn't be placed on a kid. So then we get a montage, and this montage covers about a couple of weeks. So it's been a while since Monarch striked and he's been radio silent. We see Alia and Nino learning self-defense, Milen teaching people yoga so they can remain calm, Ladybug and Cat Noir on their weekly patrols and playing card games. So cute. And Adrien trying to show his appreciation for Marinette by giving her cheek kisses, which she dodges every single time and replaces them with a friendly handshake. And just a reminder, cheek kisses are a form of greeting in France. But regardless, Marinette is trying to suppress her feelings for Adrien. Also, in this short montage, we see Gabriel and Tomo Tsurugi talking very secretively, and Adrien notices, which reminds me, we all joke about Adrien being oblivious, but honestly, I think he's one of the few characters who pays attention to what's going on around him. But are we not going to bring up the eye thingy he found back in Risk? Did the writers forget that, or? Because I haven't, and that's tea. He better remember. I just find it weird that they haven't brought it back because that's a major plot point, but whatever. And speaking of weird, during this time, Gabriel makes a copy of Adrien by digitalizing him, and what the heck? Like, what the heck? I'll talk about this in much greater depth later on. Unfortunately, their weeks of silence and peace is interrupted when Inkari goes and returns, and her power is amplified when she multiplies herself into 12 copies. Ladybug and Cat Noir adjust back into being just a duo, and very quickly the battle is over when they defeat her in a really cool action sequence. The last time I remember the choreography for an action sequence being this good was season 1, in all honesty, but Assemblage really did a good job here. Upon being deakumatized, Lady Noir questioned Tomo if by any chance she has a Miraculous on her, and she denies it. When she enters the car and is on the phone with Gabriel, she says the prototype worked. Strange, right? Now get this. Remember the promo image of Monarch and he was wearing like rings and each ring represented the Miraculous? Well, those rings are transmitters, meaning he can use the power of each jewel without the akumatized victim actually physically wearing it. The power of the Miraculous goes beyond what's written in the Guardian Grimoire, and those weeks Monarch spent without akumatizing someone, he was working with Mrs. Tsurugi to test out each product, meaning Tomo most likely knows that Gabriel is Monarch, and this isn't a far-fetched theory. I've had my suspicions about her for the longest time. Remember back in season 3 when the Guardian Temple in Tibet was restored in the episode Feast, and Nadia Shamak was covering the news? There was a scene where we saw Audrey Bourgeois and Tomo Tsurugi. I'm willing to bet that they're all in on this, like some sort of secret society helping Gabriel out. But basically, Gabriel is promoting this product called Alias, I don't know. And it's basically a virtual assistant in the form of a ring. It all comes back down to rings. So if there is a Mega Kuma, Elias will alert you. If you need help with your homework, Elias will help you. And a lot of people were confused as to whether that's Adrien. No, it's a digital copy of Adrien. Gabriel made a digital copy of Adrien so he can use that as part of his ad campaign / commercial. And this is very sickening. Just when I thought Gabriel Agreste couldn't be any more disgusting than he already is, he proves me wrong once again. He doesn't care that Natalie left and he immediately replaced her with Kagami's mum. He didn't care that Adrien was unhappy modeling, and when Adrien finally stood up for himself, he was like, okay, that's fine, you can stop modeling, but I'm gonna make a digital version so I can keep using you for my own selfish needs. Totally not creepy. This man is insane, and it makes me sad because he doesn't see Adrien as his son. He doesn't even regard him as a person. He sees him as an asset and a product, and that is so wrong. So yeah, this scene made me a little bit uncomfortable because no normal person does that. It's also very disrespectful to Adrien. Rant aside, the episode ends with Felix back in London and he's researching on his computer. Honestly, God knows what this boy is looking for. You can never let your guard down with Felix. He then brings out the peacock brooch and introduces himself to Dusu as his new holder by saying, I am more than your new holder. Could that be him implying they have a connection because Felix is a sentient being? Who knows? The final thing I want to briefly mention is the end screen card because, wow, Felix and Lila facing each other with a devious smile on their face? Could this be hinting that very soon we will see them team up? I'm gonna leave this one for you guys to comment down your theories below. And that's the episode for you. I definitely enjoyed Multiplication. It had a great balance of character-driven moments and suspense and plot progression. It was amazing. I can definitely sense the shift in tone of season 5. Like, it really feels like this season is going to drive us crazy. In a good way. And in a bad way. Yeah, we might want to schedule some therapy sessions just in case. The stakes are high and I'm ever more excited. But now I want to put it to you guys. What are your thoughts on this episode? Hated it? Loved it? What were your favorite moments? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as for today, that's it from me, and I'll see you again next time. Stay connected. Bye!